The deflation, the falling prices of the Great Depression, now turn into significant inflation. Between 1940 and 1941, we see 25% inflation. The Office of Price Administration is established to try to set prices and prevent this, and it works okay, but it creates black markets. When you try to set prices, one of the consequences of that is resale markets, where people try to get more than they try to get the actual market price rather than the lower price set by the government. From 1941 to 1945, government spends $321 billion. That is 3 times more than the U.S. government had spent up until that point. So if you add up all government expenditures from 1789 until 1940, we spend 3 times more from 41 to 45 than all of that together, which is amazing. We spend 10 times more on World War I than we did on World War II. The national debt goes from $49 billion to $259 billion, which includes $100 billion worth of war bonds. We also radically increase the income tax, and the Revenue Act of 1942 changes the way we do taxes. Previously, you were just trusted on the honor system at the end of the year to write a check and pay your taxes. But the Revenue Act of 42 is going to start payroll deductions, which we're mostly familiar with today, right? Where they just take the taxes out through the course of the year and then give you back money at the end if they took too much. The War Production Board, headed by a Sears executive, is designed to assure fairness in defense contracts to make sure that everybody has an equal chance to get these lucrative defense contracts. But in reality, the military found ways to work around this system, and large corporations got most of the contracts. And unsurprisingly, the largest corporations in America were made dramatically more wealthy by World War II. But nonetheless, America alone doubled the production of all the Axis countries in World War II, not counting any production from Russia or Britain or anything like that. We were the arsenal of democracy. In some sense, our greatest role in the war was just making so much stuff, which seriously helped us win the war. Of course, war is great for the advancement of science and technology, which is pretty much always true. America pours tons of money into research and development. We create the National Defense Research Committee, which spends $100 million on research and development. The Axis, the Germany, Italy, Japan, had better technology when the war began. We had not been paying much attention to developing war technology. But by the end of the war, we both outproduced and had better technology than the Axis. We see significant improvements in tanks, submarines, and airplanes. Britain develops radar and sonar, which of course we adopt, which is a disaster for German submarines, as well as airplanes, because now we know they're coming. Germans develop rocketry, the V-1 and the V-2 rocket. Now, these rockets are wildly ineffective. Germany tries to use them to terrorize Britain, but they virtually never hit their target. America and England pioneer the development of really, really big airplanes. The kind of airplanes that will evolve into today's commercial jetliners. That technology is really developed in World War II. Pulse navigation systems for airplanes, where they're kind of in constant communication with the ground, telling them where they are so they can't get lost, is developed. Code breaking. Germans create a really ingenious code device called the Enigma machine, which every time you use it, it mutates the code. It changes the code, so the code is constantly different. We actually find one of these machines and can briefly read their codes, but for some reason the Chicago Tribune decides to publish that we found it, so the Germans learn about it and then they change it. Alan Turing develops a computer to break the German code, which will lead to the development of the first programmable computer in history, the British Colossus II. And by D-Day, by the summer of 44, we are reading most of the Germans' messages. We also break the Japanese code, and so code breaking is one of our great successes, and we're able to read the messages both on the German and the Japanese side.